ATX here. Today we're going to be looking at this Cronus case. It's called the Hypnos, which basically in Swedish means hypnosis. It's got the retail price of £44.99. Obviously, if you're able to get this elsewhere in the world, I'm not too sure. It may just be exclusive to the UK. The tower itself is a Micro ATX tower. It supports Micro ATX motherboards and Mini ATX. It does not come with a power supply. It's a black case. There's no LED colouring on there at all, and it's got two USB 3 ports on the front. One of the main features of it, it has got sound dampening on the inside. On the paperwork of what it says on the side panel, so we'll double check exactly what that means, if it just means the left and right panel, or if it also means along the front and the top and so forth. So we'll find that out in a few minutes. It weighs in at 6.75 kilo. It supports your standard ATX power supply. The power supply is located at the bottom of the case. It's made out of 0.8mm steel. The side panel is also made out of steel as well. Drive bays internally, it supports two 3.5-inch bays for your traditional hard drives, and also 5 2.5-inch bays for things like solid state drives or traditional laptop hard drives. Included in the case is one 140mm fan on the front, and it also includes one 120mm fan on the rear. In total, the front of the case will support two 120mm fans, or only the one 140mm fans, and the rear again will only support a 120mm fan. You cannot install any on the left, right, or on the top, so you're restricted for airflow, but again it is a sound dampening case, so ideal for using in studio type environments where you don't want any sound coming out. It will support a radiator, but you're only going to get a 120mm radiator in there, so a really small water cooler will fit. The I/O panel on the front, which is sort of front top-ish, has your power button. It also has a reset button. It has your audio in and out, so headphone and microphone, and two USB 3 sockets. GPU maximum length it supports is 390mm, so it should give you plenty of room for most graphics cards. And the maximum CPU cooler is 160mm. Again, that should support most on the market. The product's actual physical size, it's 195mm wide, the height is 460mm, and the depth is 392mm. Okay, so let's get down looking at this product a bit closer. So there is no ventilation on either of the side panels or on the top. The front is completely plain as well. You do have ventilation just down the side panel on the sides here. How much of that is ventilation? From what I can see, it looks like it may only be the bottom third, which is there and there, so it won't give you much ventilation at all. On the back, you've got a bit of ventilation on the back here, as well as where the fan goes as well, but otherwise there's not a huge amount. And as you can see on the bottom, there's only one place for ventilation, and that's for your power supply. The case opens up with 4 thumb screws, 2 on each side. And the sides are quite heavy, and straight away I can see that soundproofing on the inside, which does cover most of the inside. So that should give you a good amount of noise dampening in there, so that's pretty good. It's not the thickest, probably I'd say probably a millimetre and a half thick, the actual sound dampening, but it's enough to actually make it quieter, and it does give a bit of weight to it as well. I'm guessing the reverse side is the same. First thing to look at inside, you can see that fan there, which is a 14mm fan on the front. It is branded Cronus, which is obviously the same brand as the case, and then you've got the fan on the rear, which you can't see the branding from that side, but on the back it also says Cronus on there as well, so that's their own brand. On the inside there is soundproofing on the top as well, so that's good. Let's have a look at the front panel, if it pops off easily. Yeah, and the front panel actually has soundproofing on there as well, so that's pretty good. So you've got soundproofing pretty much in most places on the case. The only place it doesn't is on the bottom, and then again there isn't much on the room on the bottom, and on the back, and again there isn't going to be any room there because obviously you've got your fan as well as your PCI slots on there as well. As I thought with the front, there is ventilation parts on the front down the bottom end, but it's only around about 1/3 of it, the front, which has got ventilation on the sides and a little bit on the bottom as well. Even though you can fit 2 fans in there, 120mm fans, it's only going to be sucking air from the bottom part, which is probably going to be more than sufficient for most cases unless you're going to be doing top-end gaming. It looks like the chassis itself has been repurposed from something else. You can see where there was room there to slide in 2 optical drives if you wanted. So potentially, if that front was actually done properly, as in it was a brand new case completely, as in not repurposed, you could potentially fit 3 120mm fans on there, or even larger radiator like a 240mm one. Okay, the first disappointing thing I notice in this case is the front fan, which is a 140mm fan. The only way to power it is via a Molex cable. It would have been nice to have a 3 or possibly a 4-pin connection on there connected to your motherboard. That way it could adjust the speed. Or otherwise, when you're using a Molex, it's going to be running a full whack. It may be a quiet fan anyway, but still, every little helps in a case like this, where the back fan comes with a 3-pin connection, what you plug into your motherboard, which is a little bit strange, but again 4-pin would have been nice because then it could have adjusted the speed a little bit better. The rest of the cabling is pretty long, it stretches all around the case, no issue. There is plenty of cable tidy in there. You've got a section down the bottom here to put through your cables from your power supply, which is a nice touch. It's slightly angled compared to normal. You've also got 4 there as well. These little holes are going to be for your solid state drives, which you will attach generally on the back of the case. There is a hole at the top corner to put your 4 or 8-pin or even 2 8-pin connections through for your power to your processor. The back, while it doesn't give you a huge amount of room, but there is enough room there to do some cable management, so you should be able to get the sides on no problem and get your cabling going all behind and keep it nice and tidy, which again will help with the airflow, which is another bonus when you're working on a silent case. You can get to the hard drives from this side. This is where you obviously want to connect up your power cable, so your SATA leads, and obviously the data SATA leads as well. The hard drives will come out here. Inside there, in the top bay, you've also got all the screws, what you'll need, as well as all the connections to hook on the solid state drives, which is also good. And considering this is a cheap case, and which I see a lot of expensive cases doing this, is all the cabling on the inside is matte black. There's no multicoloured ends, what we call like sashi packet ends or rainbow ends, especially on the audio header, which is nice because I've seen Cooler Master, Thermaltake, and various other cases on the market which cost well over £100, and they've got these multicoloured cables on there which look nasty when you're trying to colour scheme your inside your case. It doesn't really matter on this machine because obviously you're not going to see inside it when it's built because of the way it's designed, but why other manufacturers can't do the same I don't know. So that's a good positive. Up to now I can't really have any negatives about those, apart from those fans, about this case. There's nice mounting in here for the power supply, for anti-vibration, and I can't really fault this at all, to be honest. The only thing I would do if you were wanting a silent case potentially is to replace those fans in there for possibly a more well-known brand, which does have that 4-pin connection on them so that the speeds can be adjusted by the motherboard if needed. The feet on the bottom are quite stylish. They've sort of got this chrome effect on them, so they look quite nice. They're nice and shiny. I think it's just a plastic coating in all honesty, but it does look the part. And overall, it looks pretty good, to be honest with you.